Arsenal have sacked Unai Emery. The Spaniard has failed to take on from Arsene Wenger and live up to his legacy. So who will be next in the managerial hot seat at the Emirates? That's what we're going to discuss in the next few minutes with 5 potential candidates to be the next Arsenal manager. First off is Mikel Arteta. The former Arsenal player is currently the assistant manager at Manchester City, learning from Pep Guardiola. And if there's anyone to learn from, it's probably a good idea that it's going to be Pep. Even the man himself has said that Arteta will be a fantastic manager who could potentially succeed him one day. Arsenal will have to step in if they don't want that to happen, and he's someone that knows the club, someone that's clearly going to be a good coach and has all the right ideas about how Arsenal are going to play, but he just lacks that top level experience as a manager. Arteta did come in at a time where Arsenal were going through a bit of a transition period, so he definitely knows about what it means to take them through this sort of way. Overall, from a fan's point of view, I think Arteta will be a pretty popular choice, and he actually unsuccessfully applied for the Arsenal job before Unai Emery was given it. So maybe this could be a bit of redemption for Arteta in the Emirates dugout. Next up though, and it's Nuno Espirito Santo, the current Wolves manager, who actually is doing a fantastic job despite the fact he's only been managing for a few years. There are basically two sides to this argument for me whether or not I think he'd be a good Arsenal manager. On one side, he's doing fantastic with Wolves. He's taken them back into Europe after decades out of the competition. They finished 7th last year. They're doing brilliantly this year in the Premier League as well. And I really think that he's got a fantastic style of play. On the other hand, of course, much so with Mikel Arteta, as I mentioned, he doesn't have all the experience at a massive club. But for me, personally, I think that given the players he's got at Wolves, if he had arguably better players at Arsenal, which he does, he's going to have a bigger transfer budget at Arsenal. He's also going to have a bigger club who can play bigger wages and also who can attract the bigger names. I actually think he'd be a pretty good choice. He may not be everyone's first choice because much like the Arsenal squad, he himself is still developing and still finding his feet as a manager with his style of play. And it may be something that Arsenal will pressure him into changing should he not necessarily fit the style that they like. It's going to be a bit of a give and a bit of take if he's to become Arsenal manager. I'm not so sure it's 100% nailed on, but he'd be a good candidate nonetheless. So if you've got someone who's still finding themselves as a manager and not necessarily with a proven track record, that is the complete opposite of our next candidate, Max Allegri. When he comes in, he may not play the same football that Arsenal want. He is a good attacking coach, but he's known for his tactical acumen and incredibly well-drilled defensive side. It's this backbone at Juventus which saw him win so many titles. Allegri is a free agent at the moment, but even having said that, he would cost a hell of a lot of money in wages. Arsenal are a board who don't necessarily take big risks. They aren't spending a huge amount of money, and they aren't really bringing in players for massive amounts. So if they're going to go ahead and do that to the manager, that's really going to set out a big stall for what to expect in the years to come. Personally though, having seen the Arsenal board and everything I just mentioned, I can't really see them taking that massive risk to go ahead and get Allegri in. Number 4, and it's a manager from the Bundesliga that you wouldn't necessarily expect, and it's Marco Rose, the head coach of Gladbach. He's had them sitting at the top of the Bundesliga for large portions of the season. They've played some pretty exciting attacking football and kept an excellent defensive record, being one of the best defenses in the league overall. It's this alongside some good transfer signings, the likes of Marcus Thuram, especially up front, which has seen him become a bit of a hot property despite the fact he's only spent 2 years as a head coach before this at Salzburg in the last few years. This though is all pointing to a good sign for Arsenal. If he could take Gladbach into the top of the Bundesliga against the likes of Dortmund and Munich, or even into the top 4, well, that's exactly what Arsenal are going to need to do. They're going to need to take on the big boys and get back into the Champions League. Again, like we've mentioned before, he may be inexperienced, but he's definitely one of these on the list that you think would do a pretty good job if he came in. I know when I said Bundesliga manager, you thought I was going to talk about Julian Nagelsmann, but there is no way that Arsenal are going to pay the extortionate fee to get him out of his contract with RB Leipzig. So lastly but not least, it's one that you know it's been rumoured, you know it's been talked about, but surely it's not going to happen, is it? Mauricio Pochettino swapping Tottenham for Arsenal. I really can't see it. He's spoken about loyalty so much. At Spurs, he turned down Manchester United and Real Madrid. He's also even denied even the thought of joining Barcelona because of his historical ties with Espanyol. So is he really going to go ahead and represent the red side of North London? I highly doubt it. To be honest, back in 2001, if we had this YouTube channel back then, I'd probably be saying the same thing about Sol Campbell, and we all know how that turned out. I don't think Pochettino is going to be a Sol Campbell 2.0, but you never really know in football these days. Loyalty seems to be a little bit dead. Regardless of all this though, I can't see it happening. So there you have it, 5 potential replacements for Unai Emery at Arsenal. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below and who you'd have as the next Arsenal manager. Whilst you're there, you can also smash the like button and click here or here to check out all the other videos we've got going on on Onefootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.